Hello, hello, and welcome back to FS22. This is LCDR Aaron, or Aaron for short. That's what you can call me. And welcome back to the farm, and welcome to Recanto Da Alvorada. This map is very unique. It came out today. It came out next to the Jacto equipment, Jacto, Gacto, which is a unique farming equipment brand to South America. Yeah, the southern hemisphere of, our continent. So, anyway, Jacto is a unique brand launched out of Brazil by an immigrant who happened to be Japanese back in the late 1930s, early 1940s. So that individual left before World War II broke out, moved to Brazil, repaired vehicles, eventually got so used to repairing farm equipment that he just decided to launch a brand of his own. I believe he passed away, the founder of the company passed away in December of last year at the age of 96. So he's a long life. So the reason that I'm so excited for the map, and the reason that I am streaming a South American map of all things, is because this map has a very rare and unique quality to it. It is based in South America, of course, and South America grows two things very well. It grows corn, and it grows sugarcane. But there is something that it grows even better than maize, and that is coffee. Coffee is a crop type in here, and it even comes with its own coffee harvester. This is part of the Jacto equipment that came out today. Yeah, those are actual razors that would go through and cut off the coffee fruit, I guess you would say, and harvest it in. It's got a spout. It's K3500. These are all custom mods that you're going to get a chance to see, because this is one of those maps that we're going to stream besides Frankenmuth. I will say that this is a self-propelled planter. This is kind of cool. It's got all the planting setups for the fertilizer and the seed right there on that rear tank. And it goes to this 22-meter planter that isn't a seed drill, so we'll have to use a disc when it comes to it. We've got a few different fertilizer pieces of equipment. You can kind of see that there's a cherry blossom in the middle. So the Japanese creator for this company stuck to his Asian roots, especially in Japan, and that's where the brand comes up. All right. Now we do have some New Holland tractors. Not everything can be Jacto. And I wasn't going to go with a Stara brand for this. I don't do well with that tractor brand. So we have some New Holland equipment on the map. And yes, I did put in the government subsidy. We're actually going to do something right now. I do apologize to everybody who wants something from the ground up. I was just too excited for that. Unfortunately, I did not. The few times that I got this map brought up, I was not able to get it to spawn a coffee field for me. So we are just gonna go through. Have to do this kind of the roundabout way right now, thanks to that whole DLC snafu where it does let you go into landscaping. I don't know why. You can come into landscaping and then it'll let you go over to demolish. Don't know why you have to be in landscaping, but you can do that on console. You can actually go into landscaping and it'll let you do that. So yeah, we're here in South America. I have a little tiny farmyard, not much to it yet. We're gonna make our first bit of profit. I did a little bit of experimenting to make sure this would work in this way, but we're gonna make a profit off of some sugarcane harvest. So we're gonna go ahead and go do that. We got the Lizard 4x4 Bear to get around. This was actually a used model that had 50% off. So obviously we're going to use that to our advantage here today. Now, the map itself is a very well put together map. Like I said, coffee, unfortunately, I couldn't get a field to spawn with it, but it places down exactly like vineyard vines or olive trees, and that's actually how coffee works. I was looking this over the other day. I found this kind of amusing. I was looking over coffee harvesters the other day because, you know, on Coffee and Hay, we've talked about it before when we were playing the Kiwi map. It takes place in New Zealand. We were harvesting coffee with a combine. And we were talking about how it's not the right piece of machinery. And today I got on to take a look because I knew we were going to be waiting for a map to show up. Wasn't aware that we would actually have a map available to us, but we were waiting for a specific map that was being teased, and I just went by exactly where I wanted to go. We went by a map that was being teased by a modder, and it had all these hints to it, and here we are. All of a sudden there was a map, there was equipment, and I could see a coffee harvester, and I knew right then and there that we had a mod map that I want to stream. Now, I did take a look at La Coronella. For any of you familiar with Farm Sim in general, La Coronella Pro, or the La Coronella map, came out yesterday with multiple variations of the type of map that ranged from the Pro map, which had all the factories and everything already on it, down to the down to kind of like the regular map. I did take a look at the Pro map yesterday. There's a lot in that map. I haven't made up my mind if that's going to be the map that we end up going with. But for the time being, I've decided it's going to be this map and Frankenmuth. This map probably won't have an update for a while. If it does, we may move on to Stone Valley. I do intend to stream Stone Valley a couple days a week, or a couple streams a month. But this is definitely one of those maps that we're going to get into, and we're going to really enjoy this. So you can see I have some tillage equipment lined up. These are the last few bits of equipment that we have here. Yeah, a Massey Ferguson 3012, which is a forage wagon plus sugarcane. A sugarcane planter. John Deere 2410 plow. This is a gorgeous piece. And then a Mocktail 261. It's a Kinsey disc harrow. And yes, we do need it. Our planter that we have back at the farm is not a seed drill in any way, shape, or form, or a no-till. So we do require actual tillage equipment. Over here, we've got a nice older New Holland. This is our 500 horse 9884. Basically, it's a New Holland versatile, and Rostelmash was the last company to have this model built. But this is a early 90s articulating tractor that was brought out by that tractor conglomerate shortly after, or shortly before Ford sold everything over to Fiat Agri. Got a Randon trailer on the back to carry sugarcane. And we're going to take this tractor out to the fields that we're going to. So we're going to the central part of the map, which has a sugar processing plant on it. But it has our sugarcane fields, which are their own fields. Some of these fields don't come with numbers, believe it or not. I don't know what the deal with that is. Don't ask me. I'm not an expert in these things. But I did take a look at something today. So the Jacktoad DLC, we have a lot of the big implements and the pieces to that DLC. That planter, that's a self-propelled, that technically comes in two pieces that you buy it as one. That's almost $900,000 when you get down to it. So obviously I wanted to cheat in some money because I want to do coffee so bad. And I want to do sugarcane farming, which is something I haven't done before. We may branch out to cotton, just given the fact that we bought the planter. we're going to have to branch out to something. But I wanted to showcase some Jackdo DLC today, which is not really DLC. I really think it should have come in a pack, but it didn't. So here we are. They are individual mods, so if you don't want something, like a lot of people don't like to do sugarcane. I understand that, but I'm on a South American map, so there are 3 things that I want to do on this map successfully. A is, of course, sugarcane. B is coffee, there is no doubt. And C, if we get the chance to expand, will be cotton. Now, this map does not have a snow map on it. It is it's one of those things that Brazil during the winters will get cool and dry, but it will not snow in these portions of Brazil, and that's what they're imitating is Brazil. So I know I haven't really, obviously La Coronella has to do with Spain, and there are a lot of other maps that have to do with other sectors and areas. We were looking at Bloomfield, Canada as a potential, but just in this last week alone, Farm Sim has really jumped pretty high up on my list of happy with where it's progressing. And the reason that I say that, and the reason that we're on this map doing this, is because of the fact that we have this great ability all of a sudden to do a bunch of different productions and things. Now, corn production got a boost this week. We finally got an ethanol plant, so we can sell corn to make ethanol. The stuff that goes into fuel. So we can do that. And obviously, we added coffee to the list of things. Soybeans has gotten a boost in recent months with factories that can produce tofu and soy milk and all sorts of other things. So there are a great number of things that we can do to actually boost our productions. Now, these fields in the center, I don't know. I really didn't pay much attention, so I do apologize. Let's dismiss this. Sorry, guys. I'm dealing with computer stuff at the same time. So, of course, this particular map has got a lot of different things going on it. But sugarcane is not something that I've done, and I'm not sure if these particular fields will change to anything else. They're right outside of the processing plant for sugarcane. So what we're going to do today is something a little different. And I don't know if any streamer, YouTuber, or anything else has done this before. But as you can see, I do have a swath cut here. And it's telling me we need herbicide, it needs to be plowed, all of that. And you can see we have a JCB, the 435S. This is a great loader. But you can see I've got sugarcane in the shovel here. Now, obviously there are bits of sugarcane, but there are scraps of plant material. So I did check this out. You can actually pick up the sugarcane with the bucket and leave the scraps of cuttings behind. So we don't have to worry about picking up any other material, any forage material or anything like that. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to run this sugar harvester, which is the next thing I want to show. And we're going to let it pour out onto the ground. Now, once this is done, we'll go behind with the wheel loader. We'll load up the wheel loader and we'll load up that wagon. I watched a couple of different YouTubers today show off the map, and unfortunately, the way that the AI works with this harvester, it's abysmal. I would rather run behind this with a loader after I've cut the whole field and just spend time picking it up than running into problems. So our first goal today is going to be to cut the field, and there's actually 2 fields that are ripe and ready. If you look at the crop calendar, I don't know why they've done it this way. I think it's just to define, a harvest time versus a planting time. I think it's the way to basically set the base map. But when you come down here to sugarcane, you'll notice that it's still 2 months away from actual harvest. And I don't know if that's going to reset once I actually harvest those fields or what. Unfortunately, where we're past the spawn point for coffee, we're going to have to wait till March, April, May, or June to set the coffee. But what we're going to do is we're going to snatch up the sugar from this field and from the other adjoining field that's ripe and ready to go. We're going to let these fields here, these 3 other fields, we're going to let those grow. We're going to take the sugar and we're going to sell it. We're not going to buy the processing plant or do anything else, because what we want to do is we want to move into coffee production and coffee harvesting as quickly as possible. So we'll be saving that up. We'll be fertilizing fields. We'll be spreading herbicide and things like that. And then we'll be going on with that. So there's a lot to get accomplished in a little bit of time. Obviously, I have almost 900,000 in the bank. We're just going to say, for the sake of role-playing, that we were provided money to start up a farm down in Brazil to provide sugar and caffeine to a large conglomerate responsible for selling to energy drink and soda companies. Because in reality, a lot of this sugar would be heading either to the States or to Mexico for soda production. But this is the Jacto Hover 500. Now, there are a few things with Jacto DLC. Number one, you can see individual like poop prints there. That's wicked cool. I can actually move the steering wheel manually. And that goes the same for all of the DLC vehicles. It's got a wider spread. It's got a 3-meter spread. It's technically a 2-row. We can turn on the harvester. I'm going to go forward just a little, get some cane. You're going to hit unload here, and you're going to see that travel up the belt, and that'll actually just pour down onto the ground. Now, it does slightly blend with the ground, but it is working quite well. So let's go ahead. Let's harvest some sugarcane. I know that's not something that I've said before on this channel, but I was waiting for kind of a map that would match up with production chains and all of that, and I finally found something that works to my advantage. And this Jacto one's slightly better than the case for this. The case one obviously has a trailer hitch. You can get a lizard one as well that's a haul behind with tractors. Normally I would start with something small like that and kind of work our way up. But like I said, I want to get to coffee production before I do get into any of the sugar cane crop, really. Because what we're going to do is we're going to buy the surrounding fields that surround our farmyard, and we're going to plant in coffee beans. And all of those come spring. And I know it seems kind of weird to pour it all out onto the ground, but when you're not playing co-op on this, you know, this is by far the easiest way to do it. You'll notice I have the clock turned down, and I'm gonna leave that actually turned down to half speed. I think I have this field back here too, but we're gonna do the center one first. And I haven't fully tested this map yet, so I don't know what... Wow, okay, that took care of that. Not sure if that was the caterpillar track that took care of that, or whether that was the harvester. It's hard to tell. And obviously, we'll eventually get to sugar production, but I want to actually get to roasted coffee beans. And there is a separate factory to actually roast the coffee and produce coffee beans. La Coronella looked kind of cool because you know, you have to do things in the pro mode, especially. You have to do things to like make the pallets that will actually put your productions on. The problem I have is, thanks to the announcement that the logging will be getting an update in November, we will probably stay away from La Coronella until at least November, when we've got something different. So, obviously, the road to coffee is paved with sugarcane. The title kind of explains itself. We're in here, we're processing sugarcane. We're going to sell the sugarcane and just get the profits for the raw sugarcane. Obviously, in a couple of months, those other fields will be ready to go for harvest. And when that happens, we'll move on to those fields as well. I like this harvester. I know it's not much wider than the case version. And I know a lot of people will argue and say, well, why not just go with the case then? You know, I'm not a big fan of the red. Obviously, I like the blue. They're the same company, technically. But, you know, we are working... God, I gotta turn my headset down. May have to turn down the... No. Okay. No, I'm checking audio as we go here, so you'll have to forgive me, people. I know dumping the sugarcane out on the ground is not typically what we do, but I got so, like, I actually got kind of an anxiety attack from watching a YouTuber trying to get it to work with a computer today, because the fields, obviously these fields aren't square any way, shape, or form. And so you have to kind of make the choice for yourself whether you're going to deal with that sort of junk or not. I prefer not to deal with that. You can see the spouts moving sideways in accordance with the I don't even know if I can change the direction on that or not. Oh, so now it's going to dump extra material right there. It's going to go for the bucket, because the bucket's actually... So we're going to put extra material in the same row. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I actually like that. But then you have to do an unload here thing. So you have to get the material moving on the belt again. I should have cleared that before I started down this row again, but that's alright. It'll just make life easier, because I'll park that random trailer right in the center of the field. I'll move. Now this is a nice break from Frankenmuth, I'm not going to lie. We ended the silage harvest with 4.5 million liters of silage. I could have easily broken the 6 million liter mark, but there were two things that I want to do. We have dried corn, which became a crop type, so we're going to be able to use a corn dryer. So I did invest in corn drying stuff, so propane and all of that. And B, I don't think that the need for any more silage came about. So we're actually going to do a December corn harvest with our John Deere harvester on that. So stay tuned to Frankenmuth, because we're going to do something that's very Michigan in the way that we handle a corn harvest. I think it's cool. I'm looking forward to it quite a lot. Now you can see that the material coming out of the back of the harvester for the sugarcane is considerably brighter than the actual biomaterial that's going on the ground. It's got like a yellowish tint to it. Those are the bits of the cane, as far as I can tell. And that's going to be easy to pick up with the loader, honestly. I've actually never done this before. This is a first for me in Farming Simulator, so bear with me. There's going to be some learning curves, I'm sure. And eventually we're going to get to sugar production and having plenty of these fields. I mean, obviously, you saw I bought the sugar plant, sugarcane planter. So the intent is to move forward with it. Obviously, sugarcane, I believe, regrows for something like 3 harvests or something like that. So we're going to be focused down on getting these plants ground up and off the field, and then we're going to focus pretty heavy on things like getting herbicide on here. The herbicide will take care of the weeds. And yes, I am playing 100%. I don't think I've stopped playing 100% with weeds and rocks since precision farming came out. But yeah, this jackdaw stuff, this is a real deal. I have to be honest, I've never been as excited for this as I thought I was going to be. You know, obviously, like I said, there were some teasers for the equipment and the map and everything else when I believe it was Connect modding. Now, if I'm wrong on that, somebody can skin me alive for that later. But anyway, when the map was being teased, I completely forgot that it was being teased for today. You know, obviously there was some info on it on DJ's channel. DJ Go Ham, for those of you that are not familiar. But, you know, obviously we want to give every map the benefit of the doubt. I feel like this is better put together than, say, Stone Valley at the moment. Not to say that Stone Valley isn't a good map, because there's plenty of YouTubers that are already using it. And there's plenty of people that have, you know, 100+ hours already on the map. My problem is I enjoyed a Lancy Boy map like that called American Life Farming. Now, anybody familiar with American Life Farming will tell you the worst part about that was simply the part where we had another update. Lancy Boy keeps the updates going until the map is completed. He gets a good map going, and then obviously he finds the errors, he finds the issues, he finds parts of the map that he's not necessarily excited with, you know, or happy with, and he goes through the process of actually going through and fixing and patching. I think I had 60 hours in with the first patch, and it required a new save, and I'm pretty sure I had close to 70 hours after the second patch on that and needed a new save. So obviously with Lancy Boy maps, they're really well done, but unfortunately they're tweaked in such a way, like he adds so much between every patch that it's hard to really tell until the patches really slow down what patch next is going to require a new game save. So, you know, obviously there could be a patch tomorrow that comes out for this and requires a new game save. I don't know. But what I do know is this came out on a Saturday, and when a Saturday mod comes out, you tend to pay attention to it. I don't know if the mod creator purposely was like, hey, I want to do this Saturday, because they do request to Giants when this crud comes out, you know? And so when they request that with Giants, Giants tries to release that in accordance with their instructions. So Sid Modding, for example, didn't have his 8R pack come out till the 1775 NT planter that JAHG Modding was making came out, because they paired together on fertilizer and a tractor, you know. So, you know, there are certain instructions. I don't know if the guy was like, hey, do it Saturday because I want people to have something new on a Saturday to do. But it did make YouTubers kind of scramble. I love watching that, especially with a big pack like this. There's a lot of equipment. I think there's something like 12 different pieces of equipment in that Jackdo. We'll be seeing a few more pieces that I don't have on the farm just yet for specifically the coffee crops, like fertilizers that go between the rows and things like that. I think for service tractors, when it comes to coffee crop itself, I think we're going to be looking at the lower horsepower New Hollands, like the T4, for example, with an open cab. I don't have a whole lot of tractors with like the South American tires or anything, and I don't really intend on doing farming with a regular combine. I'm going to do irregular crops here in South America. You know, so more along the lines of cotton, sugarcane, coffee, things of that nature will become commonplace in our playthrough. Now, obviously, sugarcane takes a while to process and harvest, so some of this may not go on stream, but I can assure you we're going to be putting a lot of hours into this map, just like we put a lot of hours into Frankenmuth. The next time we see Frankenmuth, it will probably be for the December corn harvest. So we'll see how that goes. I keep hearing noises. It's the fan that we have in here. I keep thinking that it's bad audio in the stream. Really hoping that there isn't a loss of sugarcane crop here. You know, I was thinking about that as I start to do this. Obviously, there's a few pieces that I'm running over that are just being destroyed. That's okay. But I'm hoping that I'm not losing a whole lot by letting it pour to the ground like this. I don't think I would, but you can kind of see from the conveyor just like how much material. And it could just be that it represents a certain number, and that number was in the line back there behind me. Looks like I'm finally past the marker. It's going to give me any sort of trouble. Oh, I lied. That shovel's going to do it. The front loader's pretty cool too. I haven't had a chance to use that JCB. That's a thick girl, though. We just got the McCormick Industries shovel, high dump shovel. I do have the Brestle lathe mod that recently came out, equipped or loaded in. I just didn't buy that particular one. But I am trying to go with equipment that's a little different for this playthrough. Obviously, New Holland is something that you can see we're doing, but I don't have anything real specific beyond that. And Jackdo equipment. There's one John Deere for the whole mess. That's a little different, but I don't intend on really doing much of anything else here, but what you can already see. Now, cotton will require us to plow. Okay. Just gonna step out for a second. Now, I don't know, I imagine, dirt spectrum's a bit hectic. I imagine that it's gonna work. Oh, you can't see out of that front cab. Okay, I imagine it's going to work a lot like Poplar does. The fact that you're not going to be able to see a growth stage go from harvested to growing until it gets past the specific month that you harvested in. Like I said, I've never done sugarcane, and Poplar is something that we're just starting to touch on in Frankenmuth a little. Obviously, there are plenty of lots around here with trees. If the map manages to progress through the summer and the fall, on stream, then we'll probably go to a format that allows us to do a little logging. But I'm gonna keep things as real as possible. And these fields aren't super, like, huge. Obviously, sugarcane takes forever. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little aggravating, to be perfectly honest, to like see the sugarcane come out. And this particular one doesn't have a trailer hitch. I know that under the right circumstances, you can hitch up a trailer. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna harvest one field at a time. Try to get things loaded, see where we're at as far as space on that big trailer goes. Like I said, we're gonna probably park the random trailer right in the middle, and then we'll scoop her up. I did take a look. I mean, I could easily just get the Corona head that goes on the forage harvester and chop up sugarcane there, but then that would defeat the purpose of why I'm doing sugarcane now. And I am only doing sugarcane, and I am only doing this map because the Jackdo DLC came out, and because it was the right time to do a South American map. I've been putting it off and putting it off ever since FS19. I was thinking of doing a cotton farm on FS19, and I had even set it up. You know, I had gotten things in order and had set things up, but it just never came to be. So now that we're here, obviously cotton's like I said, third down on my list. It's definitely not the biggest priority that I have. And sugarcane's first on that list because we have crops upon crops of it. I'm not gonna allow myself to miss that much crop. I am a little sad that nobody's gotten the fire rigs going yet. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but real sugarcane harvesting will come with a little fire involved, which will burn away some of the vegetation so that the harvester doesn't have to work as hard to process through the cuttings. Obviously, in this case, it just shows sugarcane being cut and processed through the machine. Basically, it's a moving wood chipper or bush hog, whatever you really want to call it. That's all it is. As you can see, it's working out great for us. We are going to we're going to stick to these smaller plantation fields. I like these quite a lot. It's just, it feels better. It's a slower process. So to have a slower process but work so much of the field at the same time is a really nice touch. I like this map. The sugar processing plant is gigantic on the way. I'm not going to add my own sell points. I know Frankenmuth, we have obviously the mock farmer's stand with the old school European design. We have greenhouses and things like that. You know, it's a process of being an American map. Here, I don't feel like that process would be the same. The only thing that I see this map in particular missing is this map doesn't have what a lot of South American maps have, which is the limestone quarries, which gives you round lime. Not that it bothers me any, but it's noticeable to have something that's very common in these types of maps. Like I said, not really a bummer for me. You know, I've looked at a few South American maps, and you know, the thought did cross my mind. You know, a 3-meter working width on this harvester versus, you know, a bigger working width on you know, even though it's not that much bigger than the case, it's like it gives us a second option. I don't have to go with one company to do my sugar processing, and I don't have to get the single lane one that goes behind a tractor. This is not going to take as much time, but it's like, you know, I'm streaming on a Saturday night. We're not going to do 6-7 hours stream. We're going to do a couple hours. And it's already 9 o'clock Eastern time where I live. So it's not, it's already kind of late, you know? But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I wanted to stream today, but unfortunately I have a lot going on, especially over the weekend. You know, it's my daughter's birthday, and I get Saturday, Sunday. They went away. There's some other stuff going on at the house that's slightly stressful at the moment that I'm having to deal with, and you know, so there's a lot on my plate for a weekend, a lot more than I would normally have on a weekend. So streaming Saturday night was the option. Wednesday, I plan on being back. Like I said, I really want Frankenmuth to be the next episode to be combine harvesting the remaining 2 fields of corn. But you know, maybe we'll take a break from that and just putt around Frankenmuth, or maybe we'll putt around this South American masterpiece. And I say that with all sincerity. I feel like this map has really done something with the coffee. Mr. Sealy P was talking about it today and said that the coffee plant itself should become a separate mod, or that it would be cool to have that as a separate mod so we could grow coffee anywhere, use that Jackdo harvester anywhere. It looks like it's very map specific. I don't know how much work would go into the coding for that, so I'm not going to say it needs to be, but I can say that I'm very thankful. I know it looks like most of these mods were actually made hand in hand with Jackdo itself. Bringing in a brand can be kind of stressful for Farm Sim, because Giants has to be able to get that right, and the modder responsible has to be able to get their end right as well. So when you have a new brand coming in like this, it you know, it has to look perfect. It has to run good. It has to pass quality control standards for a, you know, an agricultural company like Jackdo says, well, you've got to be able to make this thing act and sound and behave like it actually would. You know, good luck with that. And then they have to go through and do it. So I can imagine that getting to this point was very stressful. I will say I'm very thankful to modders that put this kind of effort into their map, and there's been some really stellar things alone this week that have really stood out. Obviously, La Coronella Pro, you know, is the pro version. That map, when you download it, it comes with 3 different maps that are La Coronella, but it comes in 3 different formats. I know the modder was real upfront about Pro taking up a lot more slots. You know, and console players beware, but for like somebody like me who's playing on the Xbox Series X, the slot count was 1,400 to 4,000. You know, I never even get close to that number. You know, I may get up to like 1,400 slots in total of my own usage. But, you know, thank you for being like very honest, but at the same time, you know, realize that us who are playing on next gen don't have any of that extra cred to worry about. You know, we're doing just fine on the slot count and on the performance end of things. Obviously, Giants wants to make a product that can go to all platforms. So I will say it's a real bum not to have a 4X map. but at the same time, Giants, I get why you did it. I get why it's not available for consoles yet, but could you hurry it up? Because us next geners want to play on those bigger maps. Obviously, we have the mods to do it. We just don't have the ability to do them yet because they want to make them available. Now, obviously, I've made some comments in the past in regards to the way that Giants has handled production of this game. I want to apologize now. Nothing has been said to me. I want to make that very clear right now. Ooh, look at that, ghost crop. Finding some ghost crop, all right. So I want to make it very clear. Nobody said anything to me. I'm not saying this because I have to. I'm saying this because I recently had the opportunity to kind of get some insight from a streamer who happens to be a community contributor about some of the ways that things are handled at Giants, how the production team is. You know, obviously we're talking about a game studio that's like 100 people big. You know, they're very tight-knit. They work very hard in their games, and I never want to act selfish or say that they're taking away. You know, I've made comments about the seasons. I've made comments about productions from time to time, and I have had some critical things to say. Not that no one else has had critical things to say, but I have been critical of them. I realize now that it's like Realismus Modding, for example, a mod group that I compliment for Seasons mod all the time. You know, I realize that there is a member of that modding company or group, whatever you want to call it, that is an actual member of Giants. You know, they work on the game, they have a say on how the seasonal cycles work, and Giants has been very open in saying that this is not seasons, this is seasonal cycles. So if there's been any sort of mix-up with anything that you've listened to me rant on about with, you know, the differences between seasons and seasonal cycles, and there was this misconstrued idea that I'm being ungrateful for what they're doing, please understand I'm not. Obviously, I think modders have got a grasp on some things now and have been able to really kind of build on the system that Giants has put in place, especially in productions. I will say it's opened an avenue I never expected to have on console. And I've been waiting to have it on console, and it's been phenomenal. You know, I have another map that I'm working on right now, or that I put a little playtime in with Erlengrot. I know not everybody's a fan of that map. So we're probably going to leave that closer to say the end of the life cycle farming sim. We may not go back there at all. I know it's not really anyone's favorite family member, if you, for lack of a better understanding. But you know, I've got some alternative fuel things now that I can mess around with. There's some role play elements that we could do in there, and I don't do a whole lot of role play. I tried that obviously with Tales from the Root Cellar, and getting back to root crop vegetables is definitely a desire of mine. With all the new potato, you know, potato types and sorters and buildings with coolers and all that, I really would like to get back to, you know, the idea of doing a root crop farm, or even say sugar beet. You know, the thought has crossed my mind to change this over from sugarcane to sugar beet. Keep farming that, but in reality we want to do something, at least for me, I want to do something fresh and different anytime I'm playing on this map. So for me, this doing this sugarcane and using the big jackdoe equipment, say plant something like cotton, for example, that's all being done because that's what I'd like to do. Obviously, I'm doing sugarcane a little differently than most people would. And I do apologize for anybody watching this just like cringing, or anybody watching this that really doesn't like sugarcane. You know, obviously you're gonna go to a different video. But for me, this is a new experience. This is a new crop. This is not something that I would have even dreamt of messing around with on FS19. And it's something that I really don't like to mess around with very often. So we'll see how this goes. I'm enjoying this right now. Obviously, you know, sugarcane regrows. So I don't have to worry about planting it every single time, and I think we're just going to keep the fields that we have. And obviously, with 3 fields being ripe and a couple of them not even being close yet, that'll bring an opportunity for me to fertilize and kind of bring up your overall yield. Which reminds me, I need to buy soil maps for all of these fields. But that's neither here nor there. I have to get the harvesting done on this sugarcane first. I have to get it collected and paid for. I did think about getting the scraper, and I may do that. We're gonna try the shovel out on the front end loader and see how frustrated I get with that. See how much extra time that takes up. I may also run the scraper on it though. If you'll excuse me for just a minute. I need to get rid of a pesky arachnid. Ugh! Okay then. Nah, I don't even like to go into pause screen. Got a spider that was literally building a web right in front of my face. Which is pretty commonplace. I mean, in the state of Maine during the summertime, we're going to deal with an influx of wolf spiders and general barn spiders and all sorts of other things moving in. So that should not surprise anybody. But yeah, this Jackdow equipment right now has been just absolutely phenomenal today. Obviously, I imagine, you know, each and every piece of this implement, just as a heads up, is a separate download. I think I said that right before we started sugarcane harvest today. You know, all of these are separate downloads. When I saw the sugarcane harvester, I was a little taken aback at the size of this thing. This outsizes that case by quite a magnitude. Obviously, I didn't get a case one out to look at it and compare, but just looking at them in the storefront, you could tell that there was a massive size difference in this one, just in the processor piece. I've seen, I've seen single row self-propelled units, for example. John Deere actually makes one. So I'm waiting to see what happens here, because modding as a whole is normally dictated by the community and demand. And I can imagine that amongst the community in Central and South America that plays this game, and I realize infrastructure is not as... it's not as widely thought of in South America and Central America. But it's just like the modders from Eastern Europe that put together Polish maps or Czech Republic maps, things from Eastern Europe that that mean a lot to those community members, and I think in South American modders and I think South American players are getting a real treat here with this map and with the fact that they've had a couple of maps that really kind of match their farming styles. You know, from the way that the tires look on equipment to everything. I was a little surprised to see that we didn't have anything to do with rice. Just simply because a lot of the South American equipment coming out lately has had rice tires on it. The newest case, combine harvester, for example, has kind of just a basic run-of-the-mill default setting on the tires is a rice tire. Deep treads that kind of paddle through wet ground, like wet, mucky ground almost. But I don't really think you're going to see that. Although, given the fact that we are seeing Jan equipment, we're seeing Jackdo, we're seeing Stara equipment coming back. I think the South American communities are pretty much like the North American communities are in general, as they're a very vocal group of players that know what they want. And like I said, I've been wanting to do a South American map. I've been wanting to do something like sugarcane and cotton. And now that we have coffee being done the right way, you know, to have that option, coffee is huge. See the parts we're not missing. I'm not good with this harvester yet. This is like actually, besides that little strip that I did this afternoon to test if my theory would work or not, this is the first that I've actually done this. And I think just based on the fact that we're going to have sugar is going to be secondary crop for us. It's not going to be the primary crop. It's going to technically be the secondary crop. But just given how long the shovel is going to take, that new scraper mod may come in handy. I keep going to bare spots of the field and like finding random invisible stalks of sugarcane. And I mean, you can see it pour out for a while, and that's that little dollop right there is actually like what actually got harvested for a minute. I do like the fact that the animations work to show it kind of coming out in a chain. More of it should be like this. It's really hard not to appreciate it. And I feel like South American maps show the industrial side of farming really well on a lot of these maps. Obviously, there's kind of the current day issues with what's going on in Brazil, which has been going on for a long time, but it's kind of taking the front row seat now in the American eye, which doesn't, you know, other world issues for other people in a first world country really don't hit home very well. But it's the deforestation of Brazil. And we're not gonna get political tonight, but because of that particular, you know, fight between Brazilian, the tribes that were there and the farmers that are just kind of taking land for themselves and deforesting it. You know, obviously that's a big issue. That's a red hot, they call a hot button issue at the moment. And even in the States, it's, you know, looking at the morality of what they're doing. It makes it a hard pill to swallow. Now, North Americans, I won't say Americans, because Americans in my mind are people from, you know, the very bottom of of South America all the way to the very top of, the very top of Canada. We all live in the Americas, so we're all technically Americans. You have Latin Americans, you have Canadians, and you have United States citizens, which are just called Americans. I don't know why we do that, because the Americas... Anyway, I'm getting off on the wrong foot. United States citizens don't really have any room to talk about the Brazilian farmers being evil or deforesting or any of that, because we did that in our own country from the founding of our colony to modern times with the natives already as well. Obviously, Brazilians themselves are native for the most part. It's just the ones that you see farming and the ones that you see moving forward in big cities like Rio and all of that. They're the ones that embraced, modernizing and the colonization of their world, their country. And the ones out in the hills and the forests and the jungles, those are the ones that haven't accepted it and continue to live their way of life, which is not, it's not problematic in my opinion. It is what it is. But it does leave questions as to morality choices. It's hard because you don't want to really talk about hot button issues like that, because in the end it's just going to come back to bite. And this is a stream, let's talk about things on the stream. So yeah, this is sugarcane harvesting with the Jacto. Is it Hover 500? Hard to believe a Japanese a Japanese immigrant moves to Brazil in 1938, opens up a mechanical repair shop, so basically a car mechanic, and ends up repairing so many tractors that he just decides to make a brand out of it. I think it was 1949 was the official Jacto founding. And I think what makes it so nice is that there's that cherry blossom, there's a cherry blossom stamp that goes with the whole thing. The guy never let go of his roots, but he did build, looking at the way that things are built and the way things are put together, you can easily see the South American flair, that with the ingenuity of the individual coming from a mechanically driven and industrializing country like Japan, because Japan in the 30s saw a massive industrialization of their machinery. But that's history. That's another thing that I'm into wholeheartedly besides farming. I'm massively into history. I know normally when we talk about equipment here on the channel, we're talking about things that have their history rooted in the people that are already living here, not people that moved in. So it's like talking about Enzo Ferrari being a tractor builder, and in the end makes some of the world's, to this day, that company makes some of the world's fastest, most expensive sports cars. All of those things are rooted in some sort of history. And Jacto is no different. Jacto is unique to Brazil for sure. It's like John Deere's expansion into Brazil, for example. That was interesting because it was a bunch of acquisitions in the late 70s and 80s that brought about John Deere really going into South America heavier. And I know I'm using New Holland. I'm not using John Deere. I'm trying to get away from that brand for this playthrough. I don't want to give you the same things over and over again. It isn't typically fair to people that watch this stream. And even if you watch things that aren't my stream, but you watch the recordings later in the VODs. Speaking of which, my computer is what I'm actually operating from tonight, and everything got straightened out with Lightstream again. So when I get done this stream, I will be putting this to YouTube, and I will be putting the Frankenbooth series that I do have left. I get like a 60-day window to put everything on. So we will definitely be getting all of that right onto YouTube this time around. So if you want to catch any of the videos, definitely check out YouTube, because I'll have them all here. I go by the same handle on that as well. I do a lot of commentary. I do a lot of talking during the stream to myself. You'll notice there's no personal conversation going on tonight, but I do that because I don't typically have a lot of viewers. I have good people that come on and they watch the VODs. Yes, I take a look at the stats. I know there's 4 or 5 of you that are regulars that have been watching my VODs. Whether that be the same night or whether that be a couple days down, I don't know personally. That sort of stat doesn't come up, but Twitch is kind enough to let me know in my creator dashboard that there are a few of you that watch quite regularly, and I do look at the chat window to see who logs in during the streams, so I can still see who you are. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to call you out or make you chat, but I do just want to let you guys know how appreciative I am of the opportunity to make these creations for you. Now that is a tiny little problem in a list of problems that I have currently. Because that pipe, when you fold it, doesn't go in. I wanted to get this, and I'll let you know what I'm doing right now. I want to get this pipe facing the back so I can just start doing a back and forth run. And I don't know if you can hear that, but the audio is actually messed up on this particular harvester. So let's see if we can catch the boom's attention. Let's unfold the harvester. Let's see if we can catch that boom's attention. Right there. Okay. Now we're going to drive away until it can't catch it any longer. Like I said, this is an experiment. If I feel like maybe it will go a little faster with the case, then I'll probably start doing things with the case, to be honest. If it looks like I need to attach a trailer to the back. Those random trailers, they might not have a long enough tongue to clear the boom arm on that. But what I can do there is I can just have it so that I can just get a dolly trailer. That's the great thing about everything being on tracks right there. It's just being able to turn on a dime, really. I will for the next run up actually get any equipment that can load sugarcane away from the harvester. I do like that twin Twin prong's nice. The caterpillar track's all around though. Being able to turn on a dime, that is a big plus here. And I'm sure it's a big plus in real life to have something like this on basically a platform in which you can pivot 360 degrees without an issue. It can do a 180 and go right back down the field. A lot of the Jackdo equipment that's on wheels, for example, has an all-wheel drive system with all-wheel steering, which, not gonna lie, has made it tremendously easy already just to get the equipment to the farm. Some of that stuff does not have responsive turning, and so front wheel turning is not necessarily always the best. We are harvesting sugar for the very first time on this channel. Kind of catch streams that I've done in the past on like FS19. I definitely have not put as many streams up on YouTube. This is nice. I mean, this is an easygoing stream. I don't have a whole lot going on. Don't know that I'll do more than a couple of hours, but I mean, already the amount of time that it's taken to go around this field is pretty ridiculous. So I'm gonna see how long it takes with a front loader shovel. I will probably get rather impatient with this rather quickly, and then people will just see me kind of change over to a scraper the next time they see me harvest. There is a brand new model out there that's just like a pull behind grader, basically, and they do use it to scoop up material and kind of grade it out at the same time, kind of level it out, and it takes everything off the ground. I can tell you that I did actually download it briefly this week to see if it worked when hauling it behind stones, for example. It does not pick up stones off the ground in the field. You still need a stone picker to do that. I know that's kind of a weird thing to check on, but honestly, with rock picking, getting those stones off the field, anything that can kind of give you an upper hand is going to be something that you try. It's the name of the game, really, when it comes to that. The more we play this, the more of the simulation stuff I get into. The more of the simulation stuff I get into, the more I'm looking at modded equipment to try to help me get through that process a little bit quicker. Obviously, I sit in the middle ground. It's realistic-ish. Obviously, it's like we wouldn't be dumping this sugarcane directly on the ground like this in real life. You wouldn't have something to pick that up with. But you'd also have machines that would be spraying like fire into the vegetation to get rid of the greenery so that the processor didn't have to work as hard. You know, and United States sugar production is crazy. But South America is kind of where it's at, and unless they want to do like a Florida or Georgia map that comes out to console, South American map is going to be the map that gets us the closest to it. So, see the yield numbers coming in? They're not too bad. Like I said, I haven't done anything to these fields, and I'm not going to do anything to these fully grown fields anyway. I don't even know, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know how long I have till, oh my god, excuse me, till these plants, you know, wilt or have anything go wrong with them. I'm not even sure if that's a thing with sugarcane. Obviously, in this environment, we're getting a 10-month period in which things, I imagine, can be harvested, can grow. It's got to be substantially quicker in a much warmer, much more tropical environment. That's, I mean, that right there is the primary reason that we're sugarcane today. Because we have this tropical environment, sugarcane on. I will say this map maker. There's a few different ground textures with, you know, obviously you can see that. We were over at the house. There were some paving stones that weren't common. I know some mod mappers. I'm calling them mod mappers, but map creators. I know some of them have gone through the trouble of creating, you know, different stones and things before in the painting section. I really think the paving stones here are really cool. You'll notice I was using one of the modern houses is a modern one that you can actually go into. It's very well done. The one that actually is standard and the default house for this map is really good. You can only walk into the kitchen. And it has kind of like outdoor entries into all the bedrooms and things. Very Brazil in its setup. I'm not gonna lie, you know, when you get to South American structures, they're very open, airy, they allow for air to travel through very well. You know, and maybe I've only seen the ones that really are persistently in tropical environments where they don't require a whole lot of insulation or fuel to heat things. You know, so maybe I'm the worst person, but it gives off very tropical vibes when you see an open air house like that. I feel like you get a feeling the Pueblo feeling from them as well. So you can get a lot of these open air courtyards with these rooms off of the courtyards, you know, dining accommodations, you know, outside instead of inside in a lot of places. Because in those older plaster structures, you either notice that a lot of stuff is, you know, half buried into the ground, kind of a deep insulated, you know, thick insulated environment to keep things cool in the summer and keep things warm in the winter. You do see a lot of that, so it's almost like a house built as an entire basement. Or you get kind of these open, airy floor designs of like the more wealthy people. And I'm not sure if the Spanish had a lot of influence on that, because a lot of these monasteries and stuff were plaster buildings. So it very well could have been. But anyway, the structures themselves are very impressive here on this map. The coffee factory, literally you have the area that you feed the beans into that go into drums, and then the drums feed into like a pit auger in the ground below them. And you know, you can kind of see an old-fashioned way of drying the grains and fruits and things that you put into the silos when you go into the individual silos that are here. And the storage facilities, they have these old school wood fire dryers going, as far as I could tell, or at least coal fired, because they have like the separate boiler right there with an actual door to feed the fuel in. So, you know, there's some old school touches with some new school stuff. Obviously the sugar factory right there to our side. That's a rather large facility all by itself. Not gonna lie, it's kind of crazy how that works. I just realized what that extra spout on the top was for. I feel kind of special. Like, I really don't know. I mean, I know some stuff that has to do with South American farm standards when it comes to sugarcane and things, but I don't have an intimate knowledge of sugarcane harvesters like I do combine harvesters. And I don't know a whole lot about coffee. I'm gonna have to pay attention and review stuff when it comes to vineyards, because apparently the coffee fields work the same as the vineyards, so you got to mulch between the rows. It's definitely interesting. La Coronella brought in almonds with this most recent update. And I actually had a look because I was skeptical. You know, almonds are something that come from a tree. So I was a little skeptical of that. You know, I try to review new maps when they come out, especially if they're remakes of previous maps. La Coronella is one of the more popular maps from Farming Sim 19. Like I said, it takes place in Spain. There's variations of geography and everything else going on. And so there was enough variety and uniqueness that I wanted to, of course, review La Coronella 22. But I read the description with the 3 different maps, you know, the Pro variant and the Trials one with some like e-game style things set up. And then, of course, the standard one, which was more aimed towards console players. I didn't get a chance to really look at the standard map, and I didn't get a chance to really look at the Trials map. But I did take a look at the Pro map. Like I said, the Pro map doesn't make a big enough dent in the slot count to make a difference. I'm sure for last-gen consoles, that would be a nightmare. 1,400 slots, because it was 1,219. I'm not sure what it is for 22 for last-gen console holders right now. But I can't imagine that it's much higher than 19 was. So it does say right out that it's, you know, it's higher slots, but you have all your farm equipment that you really need. So you can basically go out and immediately do the type of farming. Now, in my opinion, it was missing a few things. You know, normally with something that's a, you know, push button start is what I'd call it. And basically a plug and play map like that. The thing about a plug and play map like that is that normally there's at least some grass working equipment to go with it. There wasn't anything like that. And the biggest problem was the one field that you owned had spawned grass on that playthrough. So that's kind of where I get a little aggravated with this random crop types being in fields, is that some modders really don't put any thought to it before they really kind of put it to work. Now some map makers I've noticed will just set a specific field starting crop for that, and that's how that goes. And if you don't like it, well, that's tough cookie. That's how it is going to go. You know, it's like these sugar fields. I'm not sure if these sugar fields are programmed to be sugar all the time, but I can tell you right now that I spawned myself 4 times into this map under new saves, and not a single time did I ever get lucky to have a coffee field. Now, some people, virtual farmer, God, I can't think of his name now. Anyway, one of the YouTubers that I saw did in fact have a 30-minute YouTube video going, talking about the coffee process, and he did in fact have a field that was coffee. So it wasn't anything where he couldn't give kind of an overview. Okay, guys, my dashboard's going crazy, but it looks like my stream's still here for the moment. So we're gonna go with that was a hiccup on the computer's end and not on the internet's end. Sometimes we get those internet hiccups. I hate it on maps that I'm excited to stream for. Simply because it seems every time I get excited to do one of these streams, something goes terribly wrong. But yeah, that's the first field cut. Fuel efficiency could be a little better. I just took a look at our fuel tank. Looks like it almost went through a third of the fuel that it had. So what we're going to do now, because this is, like I said, this is a big experiment, and I feel that it's a huge experiment to test my patience. I enjoyed that harvesting. I'm not going to lie, that was a good... Huh, I wonder if I have crop destruction off. I thought I had crop destruction on. So we're going to shut the engine. Huh, there's no shutdown noises. That's a little nerve-wracking. Like I said, we're probably going to see some updates to these. That's how it always goes. The equipment gets a tad bit of an update. Wow, there's a step there, a gap, but there's another step up. Some of these come with railings that fold up in. When you get into the cab, you can kind of fold them down so you can get access to more. In theory, it would give you access to more stuff on the piece of machinery. But yeah, now we're going to test my patience. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous for this part. I'm glad not all of our sugarcane fields were ready to go. I think I found the first nice place to put it. Cause see, you're not gonna destroy the sugarcane by driving over it. Harvested. It is gonna show you how much the particular modder got the model really going. I'm not sure how I feel about this New Holland variant just yet, but I do like the versatile one, which is pretty much the same thing. Obviously, there's no... The colors on the various control knobs here in the panel are different on the versatile model. But I guess that's why Canadians build them a little different. Alright, so we are gonna give this a shot, and we are gonna hope for the best. And as you can see, the harvester actually filled up the bucket a little there. But I'm gonna see if my patience can hold out, or whether it's gonna run really thin. And I forgot that you can do a little bit of plowing, so you can kind of move the material towards an area. We got the high dump bucket here, so that it would be easier to dump into the truck. The trailer, I should say. Now I can just do this. Pour right in. Not gonna lie, that's gonna test every ounce of my patience that I have. The good news is, once you get this cut, obviously it's gonna be 3 or 4 months before you see any massive amounts of growth. The bad news is, I just don't think it's gonna be possible for me to tolerate this. Like I said, I like to plow, and we're probably gonna do, now that I have this down, I may just do that. Well, we've got a full bucket. Maybe we'll just plow in a spot. You kind of see the moment you get a little buildup, though, it gets harder. I would be fascinated to see how the Carl's Farms plow would do on something like this. I think for the sake of my sanity, we're going to try the scrape route here. So, bear with me. I'm going to take you into the main screen of the game here. We're still going to need the loader, don't get me wrong. But, just going to do things a little differently. Gonna give that T7 back on my farm a purpose. So let's go in, let's save the progress. Alright, we're gonna do something a little different here today. We are gonna quit out. You're gonna see the loading screen and everything else. Luckily I have the music already shut off. But we're gonna actually go down to latest, and you can see this is how the Jackdo equipment showed up for me today. And yes, I did install every piece of it actually. We got the Challenger from yesterday from Sid Modding. But we are going La Coronella. I guess for the sake of time, we're going to have to go right through. Let's see. So this is normally how I would set up. I will experiment with a couple of things. I don't normally do these things directly on stream. And there we go. It's under miscellaneous. So we're actually going to download that. That should take a grand total of 5 seconds, and see it's already done. Yeah, I have the option for the John Deere 50G, but I could never control that the last time, so I just stay out of it. Okay. Go back here. I check everything off by hitting select or deselect all, and then select all to bring it back in. And then we'll load the map back up here. But this is typically how I experiment. Is I'll go through a few different options. I like that wheel loader. I'm going to have to use that wheel loader for the scraper itself, because what's going to happen is we're going to offload the material with the scraper right around the end of the field, and then we'll need that wheel loader to pick up the material itself. This is the reason that sugarcane is not my first choice. Let's get into our New Holland here. I like this T7. Let's go down to miscellaneous. I did pick up a couple of different things. Wow, look at that. Now I'm not going to be able to find it. Might be under levelers? Yeah. Okay. So there it is, the TH51. There are no options. It holds 10,000 liters and it costs 20 grand to get it. Luckily, we're not that far away from the store from the main yard. We are a bit of distance from the sugarcane fields, but as you can see, I can go 33 miles an hour with this. Got a nice sunroof there. We already have the rear window open. Not an unusual thing that you would find in a farmer working in this environment. If he didn't have the cab closed up and blowing, you know, obviously blowing the AC, he's gonna have a window open and probably a door open to help him get to that magical. Okay, so the scraper's back there behind a bunch of them. We're gonna see how this works, because this is really how it comes down to it. I don't know how well this is gonna work. This may dictate us going to a case trailer. As you can see, it snaps up. It's not great. I would have hoped that that would have gone a little faster. So we get to crawl ourselves along here. I'm still getting used to all the controls on this silly thing, too. I don't think the tractor's underpowered for it. I just think that, unfortunately, as far as the mod goes, it's constantly making some sort of contact with the ground. There's no way to shut it off or turn it on. I'm not sure. I think the map creator, or I think the mod creator, has to keep it in some sort of pickup motion. So it really is an aggravating piece of equipment to move around. I will probably try to put it on a truck, like flatbed from now on. See, it gets up to 13, 14. Might just be the weight of the piece of equipment, but this T7 should handle it just fine. I don't know. Obviously, there's something with it. We're about to find out. See, it's handling downhill, 20 miles an hour. So I'd say that the tractor itself has trouble with it, which is a real bummer because that should be an easy thing for this tractor, especially empty. Obviously, we have to get to where basically that smoke is. Have to see, because I mean, you can take a look at the tires. The tires are all making ground just fine. Traction's not showing any slip on the front drive tires, which is kind of where I would expect to see it. Loss of traction would also mean loss of steering, and I'm not getting that at the moment. Not sure what's going on with this thing, to be perfectly honest. Luckily, it's a nice, warm day. Got it on half the time, so an hour would take 2 hours of real time. And luckily, it's the middle of summer, so the light spectrum, obviously, even in this map, is going to keep us supplied with enough light. I'm a tad bit worried about this hill, not going to lie. Luckily, we're here. It's not going to take much. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to like the implement. Alright, well, as you can see, we're cresting the hill at 8 miles an hour. This was a John Deere tractor. I'd probably be doing it in a lot faster. Let's take a look at something real quick here. Yeah, so that T7.270 has 270 horses. Pretty sure I've got the largest engine I possibly can have in this. And how much does this leveler take? 320. So we need to put this on the other tractor. And I'll eventually, I think what'll happen is I'll eventually go up to a T8. A modern day one with that center wheel screen that they're always showing. But I think what we're going to end up having to do is we're going to have to go to that. And I guess we're just going to leave that trailer unhooked. Luckily I don't have anything that would really interfere with that. We can reset the T7 if we want to, but I think the big boy tractor is going to stay down here anyway. So let's see what we can do. Obviously, I want to stick with New Holland for this. I do not want to go to Deere. When I get ready to do an area, I try to look at popularity of tractor types. And the truth of the matter is, each tractor type can be a slight bit different, you know, in its styling and all that other stuff. Okay, so we're going to open the cover up. I'm going to start by scraping up this alley. Obviously, this is a manual transmission. So, as you can see, we're getting all the sugarcane off of that lane. It's bouncing around a bit. I don't like that, I'll be honest. But let's close the cover. Okay. This is a manual transmission tractor, so you're going to see a lot of this stuff happening over here where it's kind of hesitating to move forward. So we're trying a few different things here. I think what's going to happen, just so that I don't have patchy areas all over the field, is I think we're gonna go for an offload, basically in the same spot. We're gonna split the field into thirds, basically. Come down here, and we're gonna do the same thing. So, offloader right in this corner. I think this is going to work well. I'm going to try to drive up on this crop. Got a good thing going here with this pile. So we're going to go ahead and push that forward, start the unload process. We're just going to offload this thing going this way. Okay, so we've got, I think what we're going to do is we're going to end up using the scraper. And we're going to scrape field areas with this thing and kind of go from there. It's a lot if we're admitting it. You know, it's gonna take a little bit of practice to get used to this. Not to mention the manual transmission on this New Holland. A little different than obviously the CVT transmissions on the newer tractors. We need something higher than 320 horses, and this thing offers 500 horses. So this thing's technically overkill. So we get down to this row, close cover, keep us from making. Yeah, I think I'm gonna enjoy this. This is just gonna make it easier. We're gonna have a couple of clumped areas. Open the cover up here. I mean, part of the problem with the manual transmission too is the fact that you're always gonna get a situation where the computer's gonna hesitate to shift whether you shift well or not. It would be better if you manually did it yourself. I wish there was a manual, or I wish there was a standard unload button here. Wow, I do not know what's going on with the chugging tonight, guys. I'm watching the interface on this thing go crazy. I don't know why it's insisting on doing that. I don't know what's going on with those hiccups tonight. Maybe it just doesn't like the fact I'm doing sugarcane. Who knows? It is the weekend after all, so I'm not really surprised, if I'm being honest. So that seems to pick it up the most efficiently of the different methods that I could try. Kind of it's a choppy mod. I don't know. I mean, obviously, the feed tonight is not going so great on my interface. What you guys are seeing so far looks better than what I'm actually producing for results here. That may change. You may see something a little different at the time. Couldn't really tell you what's going on with the internet. There, I got that away a lot cleaner that time. I honestly think that this will end up being definitely more efficient than doing it all by bucket. Although it seems like the whole affair is going to be a slow matter anyway, no matter what way you do it. So. Obviously, in real life, this is not how this would go down. I already have 10,000 in there somehow. Okay. Not gonna lie, this this scraper really is beyond me in a lot of ways. Having to learn it because you can do a lot of manual control there. As you can see, as I go through the bumps, it does not matter, it's still picking up material. So as long as that bottom hits, it's going to take up material. I guess the key is going to be to turn outwards. As you can see, I'm putting quite a lean on this poor New Holland. Snatch up what's left of this big clump right here. Let's close the cover up. Yeah, so I think this is gonna take a lot of practice and time to get used to. And I don't really have a problem getting used to it. It's just it's going through the motions. Obviously, it looks like you can only stack it so high before the scraper kind of protests. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like figuring out how do you do this. What in the oh, for heaven's sake. So accidentally. I hit the thumbstick. It's got controls for everything. So if you're not watching it, you can. Just gonna. Yeah, if you don't watch it, you can get yourself into some serious trouble. I'm just gonna close that up, and back it up. I was hoping that there would be a 4-inch wagon option. Sugarcane. There appears to be nothing. Just I don't want to use 4-inch harvesters. Modded headers to this. That just seems kind of like cheating. And I feel like I'm doing enough of that cheating as it is. Maybe I'm making this hard myself. Maybe I'm not making this hard enough. Who the hell knows? I don't. I don't really. Well, I don't get the big objection, to sugarcane, because if you're using the case harvester, using the case sugarcane, so any objections you have to the harvester itself or the time it takes to harvest is really kind of a moot point, because you can harvest quite a lot. So we're just gonna open that up, leave that tilted up like that. Go through, we're gonna leave a nice level surface. Okay. Go ahead and we'll hook the JCB, start the JCB up here. That's the thing, is it's gonna be easier to pull from 1 pile than 100 piles. Like I said, I'm probably doing this so wrong that somebody can scream at me for hours. And he's probably actually screaming at me right now. We'll honestly see. I don't see anybody else doing sugarcane. Part of the reason that this method is being experimented on is because there was no other way to really experiment on this. Obviously, I'm doing this 10,000 liters at a time in this pile. So that helps immensely. You can see the area. It looks a little discouraging, but in reality, it's not all that bad. The high dump bucket, it makes things easier. Obviously, this JCB is more fun to get into. Any playthrough. Maybe it doesn't feel as much as, say, cereal crop does, because cereal crop is instantaneous. Sugarcane really isn't. You have to go through the process. It's almost like swathing it. And going through, just kind of picking it up in the cart and dumping it. Like I said, if there was a 4-inch wagon that was able to carry the material, appreciative for that. Guys. I realized what I just did. So this whole thing. So I'm gonna admit to pulling a Mr. Sealy P here. This is what I'm gonna call it. So we're gonna get rid of this right away because I'm gonna show you something, and this is really gonna blow your mind. So obviously, forage harvester headers don't do any of this, right? We've got them. They do a wonderful job tearing through material. That one even picks up wood chips. I don't understand why they don't have that so that picks up sugarcane chips, but that'll actually pick up, for whatever reason, that'll pick up wood chips. Potting our Mex 5. There's some really nice stuff in here. But down under miscellaneous, I believe we're going to find the tool that I was really too stupid to... Let's just go under tags. I feel really silly about this, and if it didn't download, then I have to go back out and download it. But lizard stuff is everywhere. So this is the forage pickup. Okay, you can do this in 2 different types. You can do it in the forage pickup, bulk pickup. Do it in the bulk pickup. And let's just let's do a New Holland blue. And let's do the design color white. Okay. So that's 75 grand. We're going to go right down to our thing, and we're going to sell this leveler right now. Okay. Shut this off. Okay. I feel really, really stupid about this whole thing. So, I'm going to show you guys why I feel stupid. Because I had this plan actually, and we're getting ready to get done. But I'm going to show you this little bit anyway before we get done. Because this was actually what we had. Okay. I panicked for a second there too. It's been a long day. And when I was getting ready to set this up, I had decided we were going to stream this tonight. Obviously, I went through a few experiments to double check things. And then I had a thought right before I got done with this. So my thought involved that bulk pickup. And so we're going to go pick that up. Plus we're going to pick up the Massey Ferguson trailer. We're going to actually experiment with 2 more things tonight before I let you go. And this will probably make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It's kind of making me cry at the moment, to be honest. Just because I really didn't think this through. So I feel kind of like a numbskull. I'm not stopping. There's no need to stop. This just feels, on my part, this feels rather stupid. So I'm actually gonna check to see how much horsepower God, now I can't remember where I saw it. That's horrible. Um, Never mind. Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. And look at that. That thing spawned backwards. Yep. Yep, I am totally proving that it is the end of the day. This. So we have a Massey Ferguson trailer here. Hook that to the back of this wagon. Now, in theory, it should be a fairly easy thing to actually use to pick up sugar cane off the field. See, we're all hooked up. So we could easily fill up this bulk wagon material. What also could happen... Sorry, I had to sneeze there. Wasn't going to sneeze in everybody's ear. What we could also end up doing is it might be long enough to reach. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry these both down there. Now, if this isn't long enough to reach a random trailer, what would happen is we'll fill up the bulk trailer, ride it over to one corner of the field, dump it, go back out and get another load, and then scoop that all into the random trailer. Or, even better, we could see... I'm actually going to see... I'm going to experiment with two things when we're standing. This is kind of an important thing because I've never done sugarcane. And I want to do sugarcane by myself. I don't want to have to hire a worker to go through those fields and do the sugarcane. I don't want to follow it with a wagon like this. I don't want to go and have to fire and hire a worker half a dozen times just to jump on it, turn a worker around. I would rather do the whole field in and do this whole experiment in stream to let you show what the big hurdle is. So this is my struggle, and this is me trying to overcome the struggle. Should be fairly easy. So we're going to fill this wagon either way first. I'm actually going to experiment with this first. I'm going to see this T7 should have enough to do this. And in reality, something like this would probably work to pick up sugarcane. Not that they would ever put it on the ground. So I'm going to... Oop. Okay. Okay. So we know... there's honestly too many. There's honestly too many options on this track. I think that's gonna. Slide it just about there. I can move around the spout easy enough. Just look at this sucker. Huh. Okay. Well, we've got the forage pickup lowered as low as it'll go. Let's hook it into the trailer. Now we've got a lift and lower option for forage. And as you can see, she is loading up on sugarcane. Now obviously, we need to see how well she'll take it in the rows that the sugarcane harvester is. Fairly well. I'm actually, as you can see, that's having a bigger impact than I thought it would. It's working. It's working tremendously well. You can zoom around the map, or you can zoom around the body. We're going to highlight the trailer. This is kind of our first test. Let's see how we did. Sugarcane's a little rough to drive. Just have to kind of keep that in mind. It looks like it's going to do the lines of the cane easy enough. Well, okay. This just got substantially easier. Obviously, that's one more pass over the field that we do have to take. But this is not gonna hold us up. And I don't know why I forgot about this. This is something that happens to me, though. That's why I like to play, a good portion of time by myself, getting set into a crop, for example, because of stupid things like this. Okay. Well, we're going to take the roadway back. I'm going to fill up this. I'm going to just continue to do this until that random trailer is full. Looks like there is a lot of sugarcane that actually comes from this. I didn't think, judging from the rows themselves, the actual rows of sugarcane, I didn't really think that was much of anything. We're gonna let the device empty itself. Like I said, what I'd like to honestly do is I'd like to get this random trailer here set to be the one to do this. Okay. First full load on the random trailer. Swing it down. Massey Ferguson. Nice. I like the little Massey wagon, and I've never used these wagons before, so it's probably part of the reason that I really like doing that. But we've spent a little money, and now we're gonna get some money back. I know having 800,000 in the bank is really kind of a lot of money to already have. Figure the amount of money I'm gonna spend just to maintain the sugarcane fields for a few times I'm gonna harvest them. Obviously, there's a real difference there. So, the cane processing plant, I have not been through yet myself. I'm liking this though, because this is, it's got an arrow, it tells you which way to go, it's got a gate. It's got a scale system. Yeah, you drive up on the scales. Gives you an estimated weight. So, of course, we're gonna have to open up this. This is kind of our last piece of the stream tonight because we're getting at 11:30. So we'll be doing a little bit more on stream tonight, but we gotta get those prices up here. Let's see, sugarcane. They're the best in July and September. I guess maybe, just maybe, let's take a look. Let's take a look at sugar. Okay. So there are the differences in prices. Now, I'm going to do this purely for the fact that I need to save money up for the coffee. And as you can see, coffee is down here at the, well, it's not at the very bottom because we've got all our extras at the bottom. But we have coffee beans and roasted coffee. Now, roasted coffee, of course, you can see is less. And so we will probably not start doing our own roasted coffee. Rosted. I'm going to call it roasted coffee from now on. Probably not going to do our own roasted coffee. But we are going to do coffee beans. So today we're just going to sell the cane sugar. So let's go ahead. Let's get back up here. Raw material, I know. So, sugarcane processing factory has some of the best prices. So we're going to come over here and we're going to tag place because I want to know exactly where we're going to be pouring this stuff on. Okay, so obviously we want to get this sucker turned around. This is why we got this big four-wheel drive. We've also not done anything as far as putting extra tires on. Okay, so this is tagged the place. Go ahead. 60,000. We're going to see how much we get for 60,000 liters. 26,000 for the first trailer load. It's not bad. Like I said, we're saving everything for the coffee. So, besides the expenses to fix up the sugarcane equipment, something we're not going to have to do a whole hell of a lot. I believe these are lime dispensers. So normally what you would do is you'd come into a processing plant like this, dump out your production. It would have weighed you going in, it would have weighed you coming out and seeing the difference. Based on the difference would tell them the weight of the amount of sugar cane that you brought in versus the amount that you're leaving with. Obviously, you're not leaving with any sugar. That's what the plant would be set up for. Exactly like that. So we're gonna put ourselves. Actually, gonna put ourselves right here. I'm gonna shut the machine off. I just shut my damn tractor off. I like the New Holland equipment. Turn it on. We're gonna fill up this wagon again, basically 3 times. There's gonna be a limit for this, but I kind of like the way that we're handling this. So we're gonna do it this way for now. It might slow the process down a little. What it's gonna do is it's gonna ground it in some realism. So basically, a truck would be out on this road. Roadway, whatever the furnace was, and they would be bringing in wagons. Now, I do know that there are a couple lizard variants of forage wagons or forage tippers like this coming out. So keep in mind, I am fully aware of that. So we may have a change up of equipment here as we progress. I am also going to keep the JCB. I think the JCB is going to be a piece of equipment that we can use. Maybe we'll leave it up here. Anyway, you want to try to get this wagon right about there, I would say. That's just going to let us dump with impunity. Like I said, I like that because basically in 3 loads, you know that the random trailer's full. Take it to the factory. I don't have to take this thing to the factory. I don't have to take the forage pickup off or anything like that. This pickup is really kind of a pain for that sort of thing. So I do actually like where we've kind of set ourselves up with this. This is the larger of the 2 wagons. Obviously, there is one more out there right now that I know of. That is trailer and the tractor. I unintentionally matched the color on that, so I like the white and blue though. That's a pretty common case, and this will probably be the only case that I actually put colors for any of the ones that have custom colors. See, the pickup will pick it up. Got that pile up there. That scraper I would be screaming right about now. This makes it feel a little too much like forage harvesting in a lot of ways. I'm not gonna lie, it's like cutting grass and picking it up with a chopper. But it is also the easiest way to handle this. And it's just fun. I don't typically use the New Holland equipment, and I have this wonderfully modded, equipment with some older models, not necessarily with the newest stuff, but with some older models. It just kind of works, man. Kind of works, and I enjoy. Obviously, I'm enjoying this a little much, maybe just a little too much. Yeah, this is actually more fun than I expected it to be. I'm not gonna have any other money to spend. I'm gonna make up the money that I did lose. You know, from purchasing all the extra. Just do stair step sort of thing. Sugarcane is definitely misunderstood, I think. Like I said, I watched a few different YouTubers kind of struggle with the helpers. The helpers are a big enough struggle on normal crops. Don't torture yourself with the sugarcane. Just let it go to the ground, pick it up, and do it again. I mean, I have 2 more fields have sugarcane that I'm doing this with. Don't torture yourself. Obviously, I'm doing this in a bit more roundabout way, but you know, sugarcane is one of those crops that's how you say very, very time consuming. You know, that's why I'm glad not all of these crops are ready to go. I may convert half of these into coffee fields as well. But you know, there's regrowth potential here, and there's just a lot of stuff that you don't have to put up with on this level. You really do without the pipe doing that every time I go up to this wagon. I'm getting a little distracted with that pipe. Just awful. I like that you raise it right up to it. It takes like 2.5 of these wagons, or 2 1/3. These wagon loads. What we're gonna do is pull this out of the way. So we want to give that articulating tractor space. I typically, you know, where we've got field work right next door to where we're selling these loads, we'll leave the tractors on most of the time. These big articulating beasts, you know, they tend to drink a lot of gasoline. They don't wear out under the wear and tear. They don't really wear out too quickly. But, you know, do have a tendency to go through gas a little quicker. So I guess a lot of these facilities, I haven't tested this because I haven't stayed on a map spawn long enough to see this, but I guess some of these facilities do actually close at night. Which may bring a level of difficulty I wasn't expecting before, but at the same time I'm happy for it. So I think how this is supposed to work is you're supposed to pull directly up from here. I'm going to continue to pile in sugar. We don't have a reason to keep the sugar, honestly. I apparently don't have access to the land I'm selling shit on. I don't know if that's a trigger because I got too close or what. So take a minute. We're going to take a look. Sugarcane processing factory is still sitting at 403. So we obviously haven't done enough to tick off the sugarcane. This is another advantage of articulating tractor. Swivel hitch like this is get to and from, get between places. Obviously, we're keeping it somewhat narrow. We don't even have to drive up the scales. I just kind of like the way this works. Yeah, so that's actually gonna take care of our sugarcane quite nicely. I'm actually gonna run for the next 10 minutes on the stream. We're gonna call it at midnight Eastern time. But I want to give it the opportunity to kind of show off what I'm doing here now that I'm efficiently running. And between the harvester and the two other tractors that we have here, I can honestly say I'm very happy to go ahead and do this harvest. This has actually been a load of fun, I have to be fully honest. Like I said, I don't use New Holland normally on stream, so this is a big deal. I think one of the more frustrating things about getting ready to do a map in particular, and I found this on La Coronella yesterday as well, is that when I get ready to do a stream, I will often take a chance to look and see what a popular brand is in the country. Now, a popular tractor brand is what I mean when I say popular brand. What I'll do is I'll take a look at popular tractor brands for different regions. So La Coronella is based off of an area in Spain. Not any particular area, but it's supposed to be like Spain. It's supposed to be the country. Map that we're on right now is supposed to be Brazil. So I was actually, if you look at Brazil and the popular tractors, there are a couple of different ones in Brazil. New Holland is actually quite a popular brand. Not as popular as, say, Case. The big one that came about because of the fact that tractor companies often swallow up other tractor companies. The big one to pay mind to, and the one that I already knew about, was John Deere is actually very popular in Brazil. John Deere acquired a Brazilian agricultural company that was already doing things like putting John Deere's color scheme on harvesters. Basically, there's a whole line of Staras, John Deere, even Case itself, International Harvester. There are all these brands down there that have their own variations of these tractors through factories. And it is very fascinating to kind of look over. Like I said, a lot of the stuff you see with regard to the tractors that are being worked there is the fact that you have rice tires here, rice tire there. It's a very different feeling brand. Okay. I am legitimately having fun. I have to say this is kind of the first time in a long time that I've kind of looked at Farming Simulator a little differently. Obviously, I've played 19. Now I'm playing 22. I love that. The action cannot be performed here. We're easily performing the action here, though. So don't pay attention to it. Obviously, sugarcane is bringing quite a high yield, and that's kind of what it is it's kind of like a high yield, high plant concentration. I'm not looking forward to replanting this crop type. I have heard that it's an absolute doing this kind of realistic-ish. We're using a lot of the proper equipment to transport. This piece on the front here, this tractor, dumping sugarcane on the ground. Sugarcane's a very big cash crop for the southern hemisphere. It's absolutely gigantic. Obviously, the way that we're clearing it out this evening, with this machine, is unrealistic portion. That's what I've decided to do as far as sugar. Coffee beans will be substantially easier. We will probably, like I said, we'll probably sell those for a while and just kind of harvest and sell the beans themselves for a while until I feel like we've had enough money and start roasting them. And cotton equipment, we'll have to decide when we're going to shift to case or I think just because we have a New Holland farm, I think we're going to stick with Case, because Case and New Holland obviously is the same company. It's just... I don't know, I like New Holland tractors, but Case doesn't like tractors. Rear fenders are very similar in design there, so I can't really say too much. Obviously, you can understand there are a few similarities to the Case tractors already notable. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to pull it next to this trailer, so I'm not having to back it up and bring it in again. I love that, just kind of lifting it up. It's cool how sugarcane kind of pours. It's kind of the same way the way that cotton bales. I guess it's rare and unique. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, in order to call this when I need to, we're just going to say that we'll do this load into the factory. Obviously, it took me a little time to experiment and get things down the right way. I do apologize for people that had to watch me kind of suffer, but I want to show kind of the process of elimination of new crops or new map that I go through. It's not always easy to show this process. It can be a humbling experience because all of your mistakes and all of your issues are happening on stream. And a lot of people like to edit out their struggles on YouTube videos and things like that. A lot more will just kind of film the struggles and the problems and the accidents that happen. There are very good people out there that just kind of do that sort of thing. Like I said, they just goes to show people don't typically like to show their mistakes. To get the sugarcane in there, I had to just slightly throw it into reverse. Okay, so that harvest income right there has gotten us back to where we need to. You can see that the Randon equipment has the rare distinction of being something that actually has Spanish and Portuguese writing on it. So it looks more like stuff from Latin America. Even the character that I decided to spawn in with, normally I pick the guy with the red hair and the lighter skin. I actually picked like the different character this time around. So I am trying to be accurate to the area. I am trying to be accurate to the culture. Obviously, sugarcane culture and coffee culture are big, and there's still a lot of places out there that do coffee beans the same way that they've always done coffee beans by hand. Obviously, we're not going to be doing that here. We are going to be enjoying ourselves immensely on the idea of mechanical bean harvesting. And, you know, it's like I was saying, in La Coronella, there was the almond. And I decided to do a little research because what they've done is they converted over a New Holland grape and olive harvester. So, whatever those are, you know, whatever that model is called anyway. They went ahead and they converted one over and colored it brown, and it harvests almonds. Well, if you look up almond harvesters, typically what you'll find is the ones that will harvest them directly off of the trees. Some farming communities will actually keep the trees rather small when they farm almonds. Wow, okay. That is unfreaking real, dudes. So that spider from earlier was causing me issue. I just caught it spinning a very decent web on the edge of my laptop. I used for the stream. It was like up in the corner. Yeah, well, that's not gonna fly with me. Anyway, they use smaller saplings, and they do use an actual variant of that particular harvester that we already have in the game for harvesting grapes and olives. So it's not actually inaccurate. And then to top everything else off, we have this coffee map, and the harvester was accurate today. I just kind of lost my mind. It wasn't something that I was expecting. It was a nice, pleasant surprise. You know, I was taking a break from a task that I was 110% into today, and I didn't want to be 110% into, if that makes sense. But it was something where I had to do it. So, a little alarming at how well Farm Sim is definitely advancing. And I kind of want to close that out. I want to close out the discussion tonight and just talk the last couple of minutes here about the fact that Farming Simulator 22 is bumping up its accuracy. Now, I say that as I'm using a very inaccurate tool, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea from it. Obviously, there are tools in the game that we have right now and will have for a while that are very inaccurate, and that's because a game is just a game. But the amount of accuracies that are going into maps all of a sudden are alarming for all the good ways. You know, these are things that we're getting without spending any sort of extra money. If you're playing base game, and you didn't have any of the current expansions or anything like that, you're getting all of these things. You're getting the addition of coffee. You're getting the addition of almonds. You're getting the addition of, you know, producing your pallets that are going to go into putting on productions onto, you know, all these extras that are coming out of this. You know, the Jackdo, even if you don't use this map, you're still getting a rather large load of mods, the Jackdo stuff. And, you know, it's a big enough package to call a DLC, but it's not really a DLC. It's just a pack of mods. You know, it's not even a pack of mods. It's just single mods. They made it so it's like, well, you don't like the lime spreader, go ahead and skip that. Maybe you don't want the sugar cane harvester, skip that. I don't know why you wouldn't want that giant orange beast right there, but some people aren't going to play on this map with it. Some people aren't going to play around with the sugarcane. Some people don't want to mess around with the coffee. I am obsessed with coffee. I will say that. You know, I have a cup of coffee every freaking morning. Even if I have an energy drink later in the day, I still have a cup of coffee. So my obsession is never going to end. And honestly, like I said, this is the first time I've done sugarcane. I'm very happy to do this, even if there are some pieces of equipment that I'm using that don't quite match the actual dynamic of what sugarcane harvesting is. At least I can honestly say I'm not having to ride around while some computer makes me feel like a useless turd. I want to be the one that's doing the sugarcane. I want to be the one that's collecting the sugarcane. I want to be the one that's harvesting the cane. And obviously, this machinery setup that I've got going right now, this is like the culmination of it. This is like the final adjustment I'm gonna have to make to sugarcane. So I'll be happy no matter what, but just the amount of accurate things that happened this week are just making me extremely happy to know that I know of what I picked. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and we will shut that off. God, what? That is a gorgeous tractor for all intents and purposes. I like that. Massey Ferguson car. This 9884, this big old beast, this is actually a very nice piece of equipment. Now that we have the sugarcane cleared from this part of the field, turning around, it's not too much over there. See that JCB shovel has a bit. I like the current setup. I can't honestly say that the first time around I'm typically satisfied with the setup. I'm legitimately satisfied with the setup of this farm right now. That's it. Is that a toolbox down there? That is a toolbox down there. I don't think the Versatile had that. Oh, that's interesting. I have to go back and take a look at the Versatile. So. Sorry, I'm sitting here making the best of my situation. So, obviously, this is the last load in the drill. I'm gonna thank you very much for coming on something that at the beginning of the day I didn't realize was gonna happen. Obviously, I thought maybe we were gonna have another day on Frankenmuth. I can honestly say, I realize I'm not getting it into the process, but I can honestly say I'm very happy to say no to Frankenmuth and to get a different harvest going, different type, different equipment, all of that. Normally it takes me 6-7 hours to set up. Today it took me 53 minutes. 6-7 hours may be a bit of an overstretch, but it definitely takes me a couple of hours. So the fact that I'm not doing it, the fact it's a little after midnight, I've actually been streaming since about 9:30. I'm wicked impressed. This map may have drug me in to the point where I'm ready to kind of give it my all. And obviously, you know, maybe the next time you see us, we'll be doing fertilizing or some sort of field work like that. I'm gonna harvest some sugarcane and probably have a good night. Get something to eat, get something to drink, something like that. But I hope you all have a good night, and I'll see you when I see ya.